Welcome to my channel. Today we have the following news. Yang Mi was scolded this time, not unjustly. Original red hair ends life. Dominating the hot searches for 2 consecutive days, Yang Mi's title of topic queen is well deserved. Only this time, she not only overturned, but also triggered criticism from netizens. On March 21st, Yang Mi posted a photo. She was wearing a black short top, with her upper body lying on the floor, her legs on a stool, and her whole body forming an inverted Z shape. She said in the caption, "It's a bit difficult to raise your hand to participate in the comic waist challenge." The comic waist challenge that Yang Mi calls actually comes from the comics of an online artist. Through a difficult and even twisted movement, the so-called slim waist is shown. After seeing it, many girls felt that the movements in the comics could not only show off their superior figures but also highlight their extraordinary flexibility, so they imitated them one after another. As the number of imitators increases day by day, it has gradually developed into a comic waist challenge and is very popular on Weibo, Douyin and other platforms. In just a few days, countless girls have readily accepted the challenge. I think Yang Mi was probably also affected by this trend, so she followed the trend and imitated it. After all, her figure is notoriously good, and she is one of the best even in the entertainment industry where there are so many beauties. However, just one day later, the reputation of the incident changed drastically. The number of glowing comments dropped off a cliff and was replaced by overwhelming criticism and accusations. On a certain platform, there are as many as a dozen posts criticizing Yang Mi. Seeing that the matter was getting worse than expected, Yang Mi himself deleted the photo and issued an apology statement. What exactly happened? 1. There are 2 reasons why Yang Mi was scolded by the entire internet. The first point lies in the manga waist itself. According to the popular science of orthopedic doctors, this movement is actually a lumbar hyperextension posture. Although it is static, it is not as easy to cause intervertebral joint slippage as suddenly exposed to external violence. However, this kind of slow stretching lumbar hyperextension posture is more likely to cause continuous muscle pulling and strain, which will also increase the risk of lumbar spine degeneration in the long run. Use and cherish something like your waist. Therefore, if you can avoid having a manga waist, it is best not to do it. The second point is that caricature waist is considered to spread body anxiety. Judging from the aggrieved public opinion, this is the main reason why Yang Mi was scolded. The reason why the manga waist movement exists and is so popular is simply to show off your figure. Such specific and difficult movements can probably only be done well by thin girls with slim waists and curvy buttocks. Showing off your figure is understandable, but when it becomes a challenge, it will inevitably lead to a show-off attitude. Those who can complete the challenge will receive the so-called good figure certification and flaunt their good figure everywhere. And those who cannot complete the challenge may be discouraged and judged as not being in good enough shape. If this continues, it will trigger an anxiety about body shape. I still remember that Yang Mi said in an interview a few days ago that the people who proposed the wide and thin standards had no good intentions. Who knows what her motives are when she calls on fans to participate in the comic waist challenge this time. 2. There is nothing wrong with showing off your figure, and the wide, thin aesthetic is also understandable. The problem is that we should not strengthen it through repeated body challenges and kidnap the public's aesthetics. Over the past few years, there have been numerous body challenges about women's bodies, such as the caricature waist, each one going viral. The earliest one is undoubtedly the A4 waist. The so-called A4 waist refers to the waist width that is narrower than the vertical A4 paper, and the horizontal width is probably less than 21 centimeters. A plain piece of A4 paper has suddenly become a tool for thin girls to show off their beauty, and they are being used on all major platforms to show off their slim waists. Many girls whose waistlines are not so slender have suffered greatly and feel that the world is full of hostility. In order to have such a devilish figure, many girls would rather go hungry than eat for fear of filling their stomachs. What's more, they also wear waistbands all day long and tighten their belts in perverted ways. In the end, what I got in exchange was not an A4 waist, but a devastated health, with mild headaches and severe internal organs being forced to shift, and kidney damage. Then to the later popular practice of putting coins on the collarbone. Touch your belly button with your backhand. Hold a pencil under your chest, put a mobile phone on your chest. The popular BM style last year. And last month's Uniqlo Kids Hotties. Either show off your abdomen, or show off your waist, or show off your breasts, or show off your collarbones. With the media's fueling and celebrities leading by example, these are clearly encouraging body anxiety and body shape. The amazing thing is that many girls are not ashamed but proud of it and have a great time in one body challenge after another. He also pointed the finger at other girls, gaining a sense of superiority in the process of overwhelming his compatriots. This directly leads to a large number of girls who are not confident about their figures and abuse themselves in extreme ways in order to obtain a good figure. In the end, successful people suffered a lot, while failed people fell into deep inferiority complex due to their body shape and appearance. Sincerely, save it. Don't you think this is all nonsense? The so-called body anxiety is an invisible shackles imposed on women in this era. Your body belongs to you and should not be manipulated by social media, nor should it be disciplined by external trends. Compared with all kinds of morbid beauty, health is the first priority that everyone should pursue. 03 This time, the cartoon waist challenge inevitably set off a bad trend and induced a wave of deformed aesthetics. From the fact that Yang Mi was scolded and the cartoon waist following trend was promptly stopped, it can be seen that compared with before, more and more girls refuse to be kidnapped by body anxiety. I clearly remember that in the previous issue of Talk Show Conference, the twin sisters Ye and Yana made precise complaints about certain stereotypes about women's bodies. For example, they complained about BM's small size clothes. Isn't this just a cut-off size? Complaining about the female star's lack of food. I thought her plate of salad was just a plate of pickled mustard. Complaining about a certain talent show that makes girls thinner than their waists. What's the use of having such a thin waist? Is it because after training to become a group, you can go to the subway to evade fares? The one that impressed me the most was this statement. I have discovered that girls are particularly prone to having this kind of body anxiety nowadays. Because many people will say that losing weight is inspirational, being fat is degenerate, being in poor shape is a bit immoral. Nowadays, everyone's demand for thinness is really getting more and more crazy. I think this should also be the voice of many girls. Whether on the internet or in real life, there are comments everywhere about girls must be thin. Fat girls are being forced to disappear from this world. In my opinion, these aesthetics that promote thinner is more beautiful and instill the concept of thinness is just as a poo on women's figures. Under the brainwashing of this evil trend, the girls were gradually divided into two opposing sides. Some people have no brains to abide by external standards and restrain their behavior at all times. As long as their weight increases a little, it feels like the sky is falling. The other part cannot meet the standards of the outside world. If they are not poo, they are easily slandered and even criticized and ridiculed. I always believe that everyone has their own ideas and aesthetics, and the so-called fatness and thinness are just personal choices limited to appearance. Moreover, there are many standards of beauty, and aesthetics are also diverse. No one is superior or inferior to anyone else. What's wrong with being fat, and what's wrong with being thin? What happened to white? What happened to black? What's wrong with being tall, and what's wrong with being short? What's wrong with flat chests? What's wrong with big breasts? These are girls' own bodies, and they are matters that belong to them. It is not for outsiders to point fingers, and they should not be defined in strict ways. Stop spreading body anxiety and letting sick aesthetics get worse, otherwise more girls will be poisoned. A healthy society should not have only one voice, nor should there be only one aesthetic standard. I hope that the media and celebrities who are good at fanning the flames can have more conscience and stop being tools to spread anxiety. I hope those men who like to point fingers at girls can keep their mouths shut and check whether they have 8-pack abs before speaking. I also hope that all girls will not be easily kidnapped by external standards and have the courage to say no when faced with body anxiety and body shape. Women all over the world have suffered from body anxiety for a long time. Life is hard enough, please be more tolerant and less kidnapping.